Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at Namor the Submariner 1 through 4 from John Byrne. Can't wait to show it to you. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Hit that like button and let's get right into it. Out of the depths and into the 90s, here comes John Byrne doing Namor. You know, I'm a huge John Byrne fan. If you watch my channel, you know that I'm practically obsessed and whatever. One of the most prolific, amazing, just aesthetically pleasing, great comic book creators of our time. And, you know, it's funny because I think part of the gift that Byrne did give to us is sort of his output and the fact that, you know, he was seldom absent from a monthly book, if not two at a time, and just like doing covers, and if nothing else, interiors relentlessly. So we have a lot to draw upon when it comes to, you know, going into the well of John Byrne. And I was just always, you know, it felt like he had lengthy runs, but then he was like sort of jumping around from title to title. After Alpha Flight, you know, he did 6 issues of Hulk, he went to Superman, he came back, did Avengers West Coast, this, that, and the other, and then he did Namor, and I love Namor, so good. So we are getting into the 90s, so that explains this sort of a little more computer colored looking cover, which I think if done right is fine on John Byrne, but I also feel like for a lot of the old school, more artists who are sort of filling in, like doing a lot of the hatching and the shading on their own, like it shouldn't be overly rendered. So we open with these like supporting characters. I feel like John Byrne was always good for that. Like on his runs of characters, he always definitely created a new supporting cast, in addition to utilizing old ones. But I think that's great in a lot of ways, and I feel like that's lacking somewhat in modern comics. I don't know that you're seeing a lot of like new like supporting characters who are just like really solid and great. So anyway, beginning a bold new chapter in the saga of the Submariner, written and drawn by John Byrne, inked by Bob Wiacek. I like Bob Wiacek's inks. I used to find them a little lackluster back in the day, as compared to like Byrne inking himself. But I have to say, if you look at Byrne's pencils and you compare them to the finished inks of Bob Wiacek, he definitely is one of the inkers who inked Byrne in a way that it most looked like his finished pencils, even more so than Byrne. Like Byrne adds flourishes that are different from his finished pencils, and this almost looks like a replication of, like, if you were to somehow be able to magically darken his pencils and just reproduce it. He does bring some technique and flourish, obviously, but I think that his strength is his weakness in the fact that, you know, he sort of dissolves. You know, he's not overpowering at all. He's just definitely enhancing and making the pencils better, as opposed to like when Jerry Ordway inks Byrne, like you just know instantly it's Jerry Ordway because his style is so distinct. I love this double page spread. It's funny, I obviously, like, I think Namor, like, definitely would not be taken seriously anymore if he just had the Speedo. I don't think that they use that costume solely anymore. It's funny because Namor also has the distinction in the history of having that weird sort of triangular shaped head, and Byrne purposely gave him a rounded head during his run because he felt like it would make him a little too alien, and he wanted it to be him to be a little more relatable and I guess less jarring. But, you know, it's funny because I think that John Byrne draws the triangle head. And I wonder, I'm thinking, like, was it Frank Robbins who maybe did the triangle head, or who is mostly known for? Was it Bill Everett? I don't know. But I feel like John Byrne draws a pretty good triangle head Submariner. So I feel like after a couple issues, it might have been normalized. But then again, it is sort of teetering on that, Dick Tracy villain type category, and maybe it takes you a little bit too much out of it for the leading character. I don't know. Weigh in. What do you think? What do you prefer, guys? The regular shaped head or the more triangular one? I mean, I think that art is so diverse and all over the place and anything goes so much that I think the triangular head would be kind of welcomed these days. But I kind of get his point at the time. Either way, I'll take it. And I remember being so excited, even though it's like an illusion, because I'm such a huge Alpha Flight fan. I love them so much. Like, I almost love them more than I love John Byrne himself. And I don't even know that that's possible. But, so I was so excited to see Marina make a little appearance here. I love it. Like, I say this often, looking through these books, and I do think that was always like the fun and magic of Marvel Comics and their shared universe. Like, when, like, a character from another book would just pop up in a brief cameo just to show, like, hey, here we are. We shop at the same grocery store, whatever. Beautiful. This is also what I love about John Byrne's art, and I think what makes him just like such a great classic comic book artist and storyteller. It's like, I don't even know if it's a challenge for him. Like, one of my friends told me that he says he kind of just puts his pencil down and like it just comes out and it's like naturally flowing, and I'm like, F you for that, because it's such a struggle for me to like painstakingly like place any line on a page as an artist, and I inevitably do it wrong. But he's like always picking like these like hard angles of perspective and just like pulling it off flawlessly. And there's always like, I mean, come on, there's cabinets, but one of the doors is open and like you see the stuff on the shelf and it's all in perfect perspective. Screw you, John Byrne, you're amazing. I love that. I love see, this is also like, and I know if you're, a comic book reader, you know these things, but it's like the fun things you sort of figure out, the format of comics and the way they work. Like, if the panel border is rounded like that, it always used to denote like a flashback or some sort of exposition. So it's like sort of that visual shorthand of comics that just makes them so magical. And just certain things, like in a movie, and I think they use this in more modern comics because they're always trying to be like movies rather than embracing the power and beauty of comic book storytelling. Like they'll often change the color palette, which was done in the past too. But this rounded panel border is definitely like classic flashback exposition. And I like that. Like, it's a visual cue that you just sort of know. And it was fun. I mean, John Byrne, like, definitely, like, props to him, mad props. He's a legend, deservedly. Some of his runs are definitely more popular than others, and everyone has their criticism. But I feel like he always tried to honor the history of the characters and sort of bring something new to it. Desmond and Phoebe Mars, perfect examples of new supporting characters who were freaking amazing. And I love, like, this, I don't feel this would ever happen in a comic book. Like, these days, he's basically attempting suicide, and she stops him because he says life is boring, and wow, that's crazy. John Byrne, so many twins. Aurora and North Star, Desmond and Phoebe Mars. He always was good with Scarlet Witch and Pietro. I have a twin fetish myself. I mean, not that, like, in a, horny way, but, like, I love the Wonder Twins. I love North Star and Aurora. I love Wanda and Pietro. I love the Barbie twins. Okay, so I don't know what that says about me, but there it is. Out of his element in weird, generic-looking font. Marvel's first and mightiest mutant. I thought that was kind of interesting. And probably a little John Byrne, like trying to give an FU to Chris Claremont, because I feel like, say what you will, but Chris Claremont probably, like, if you gave him enough whiskeys or something, he would probably, like, lay into John Byrne, but never, like, professionally or publicly. And John Byrne is always about, like, putting the screws to Claremont for some reason. Whatever. Beautiful cover, the Griffin versus Namor. I mean, John Byrne always kills when it comes to, like, establishing shots and architecture. His father was an architect, and, like, John Byrne definitely draws, like, beautiful panoramic scenes with great architecture and, like, apartments and houses and living rooms and headquarters for his characters. So I feel like, you know, Architectural Digest should commission Byrne for, like, a several-page spread on, like, famous comic book interiors or something, you know, inside the Baxter Building or something like that, because I feel like he, you know, definitely had it figured out, and you always knew, like, if they were in the Baxter Building, you wouldn't have to read a caption that said they were. You knew it well enough, the way he depicted it, that that's what it was. Did we get past the credits? Oh my goodness. Written and penciled by John Byrne, inked by Bob Wiacek, colored by Bran Vacata, lettered by Ken Lopez, edited by Terry Cavanaugh, and Tom DeFalco is editor-in-chief now, so we're post-shooter. I feel like that's, like, definitely an era in Marvel Comics. Namor Rita, I love her. I love her new Warriors. I love seeing her here. You know, I feel like another strength of John Byrne's art is, you know, like, his thoughtfulness and figuring things out and depicting things properly. Like, I feel like, even though obviously she's super strong, like, obviously, you know, I don't know, She-Hulk level, but maybe not, testing and landing on strength. But she has very much, like, a diverse, like, swimmer's build, as far as, like, the muscular legs and stuff like that, and, you know, the more developed upper, like, her shoulders and stuff, so. But never making his characters look bulky. I mean, that's a fairly ripped Namor right there, but they never look, like, you know, ripped or roided. The Statue of Liberty looks so sad there. Like, her face, I feel her face is prettier than that. No offense, Byrne, because I love the way you draw, but Desmond and Phoebe Mars, and I love, like, their, like, hairdos are, like, so, oh, and he's smoking, so this is definitely before Marvel put a ban on that. I didn't know I was going to be so into this, but obviously it's John Byrne, so of course I am. I felt like I would love to see this in black and white, no offense to the colorist, but, like, he did so much great stuff, and as we get into further issues, hopefully coming soon, he would start using his duo shade, like he did on OMAC, and that was in black and white, and gorgeous, so beautiful. The art is amazing on that. John Byrne's a master of, like, the duo shade, and super impressive. But I love the visuals here. I love this character. I think that's amazing. Spiral Staircase. And it's funny because, you know, John Byrne is a writer, artist, so he's purposely giving himself these, like, challenges that he's always pulling off. And just, like, I don't know, it's funny because as an artist, you know, especially doing a monthly grind of interiors, like, I feel like one of the challenges is keeping it interesting to yourself. And I think that's wherein a lot of the success lies for certain artists. The saga of the Human Torch. I don't know. John Byrne just draws the best Human Torch. No offense, Rich Buckler. Issue 3. Are we on to Zip It Town? Or Duo Shade, I should say. So, meeting of the board. This was very, like, interesting in a way because this is post, you know, Superman And Lex Luthor was sort of like this corporate villain, and he's leaning into like the corporate world with Namor. I wonder if that was any sort of influence on that. But another thing to be said about John Byrne's art, in addition to his supporting characters, is his just sort of like random like crowd characters and stuff. Like how much personality and greatness is in this guy with the big mustache. I love that. John Byrne, totally good for a double page spread, and this does not disappoint. John Byrne, writer, penciler, Bob Wiacek, inker, Ken Lopez, letterer, Glynis Oliver, reunited, and it felt so good, colorist, Terry Kavanaugh, editor, and Tom DeFalco, chief. John Byrne just draws, like, very good-looking people. Like, that's such a handsome Namor right there. But he draws, like, just, like, classic things just so well. I love this Griffin character. Desmond and Phoebe Mars. I mean, this is before, you know, like, fillers and plastic surgery were popular. I love how, like, plumped and sort of Siegfried and Roy plastic surgery look he has. It's also telling that, you know, the twins, Byrne, always worked on always had sort of this weird relationship, and the brother always was or seemed gay. I mean, Petro isn't gay, but, like, he sort of seemed that way in a lot of ways. And what does that say? That's such a stereotype. I shouldn't say that. Oh my gosh, see, that's what I love, like, in a Marvel comic when... Yay, we get to see John Byrne draw the Blue Beast just randomly in one panel. Thank you. Thank you, gift nugget from heaven. I just appreciate everything artistically. Like, I just appreciate the thought process of like, oh, I'm going to make a cloud over the moon, but I'm going to cut it away and just like use this great like Alex Toth kind of black and white negative space panel. You know, I think that's like a shorthand and a shortcut in a lot of ways sometimes, but it's also a great balance for things because it's like, unless you're like Jeff Darrow or like Art Adams, it's like too much detail in every panel can be a little overwhelming and distracted. Who knows? There's room for everything, people. I mean, come on, like, this is not lacking in detail. It's weird. This is a great marriage of those kind of styles, really, because it's like, there's an insane amount of detail going on here, but it's basically black and white, you know? It's like left to the devices of its structure, and it's just beautiful. I'd love to see this page in black and white. I'm on my way. Dick Tracy, what a great ad. Great, underrated movie, beautiful palette, gorgeous cinematography. I think it was amazing makeup and actors and just like visually stunning. Ahead of its time. I feel like it has not gotten its due, for sure. I mean, I feel like it's such a great approach Warren Beatty had on how to, like, he wanted to make it look like a comic book on film, and it's like, do you not deserve credit for that? I mean, I feel like that's basically what Robert Rodriguez wanted to do with Sin City and pulled it off in spades. So I think Dick Tracy is actually a great predecessor for Sin City film-wise, and I wonder if Robert Rodriguez took any influence. There's some really great art happening here, and I'm totally off on this tangent. Sorry, guys. Blackwater. I think we actually are gifted number 4. This is the last one, Pete. Yes! The first duo shade. So duo shade, for a little bit of background here, is an inker's technique where you're basically, okay, so basically he would do the pencils, then he'd do the inks, which is, you know, the outlines and the shapes and the figures and figuring everything out, the blacks, whatnot. And I think duo shade might have been an overlay Although it might have been on the same paper as you're doing the actual inks, because I feel like I've seen them for sale on eBay, and like one comes, like it comes in a package of two. Feel free to educate me. Duo shade is definitely one of the things that is a challenge, does not exist anymore, but must be satisfying on a certain level to work on artistically. So what it is it's a treated paper with a pattern underneath, and basically you're taking a chemical using some sort of swab or brush or whatever, and you're revealing the pattern underneath. And you go one way and it's light to an extent, and then you can come back across it and make it even darker for like effects like this. So there's technique and technicality and artistry involved, and it's definitely like a point in John Byrne's artistic career, and he just mastered it. It was beautiful. Like, on one hand, it's like I love his art so much that he doesn't need that flourish, and I feel it definitely looked better looking back at this, even though as much as I loved it at the time, like I feel it worked way better on OMAC being in black and white, because it sort of needs that texture, whereas to a certain level it's making this a little busy. Did I gloss past the credits page? Yes, I did. Written and drawn by John Byrne, lettered by Ken Lopez, Glynis Oliver. That's who you want on your side if you're doing something like as experimental and different than this. Glynis Oliver, just her instincts as a colorist have always been dead on. Whether she's working, I mean, she's worked with so many great artists, you know, of note is like her work with Bill Sienkiewicz. Just, I don't know, like knowing just the right thing to do. It's like so amazing. And it, I mean, I remember just like being totally blown away from this, being like, oh my God, like how is this possible? This looks amazing. Like it's so beautiful and like luminescent in a way. And then you got the Mars twins, who I freaking love. And he slaps her, like how horrifying. And then here's Namor going on undercover boss with his stupid cheesy beard and glasses and like Shakespearean poet's blouse. This is your disguise. Wow. It's okay, everyone will think I'm Tony Stark with a beard. Oh, okay, that works for me. Blair, boom, here comes the biggest submarine ever, breaking the surface. The Fantastic Four making a cameo appearance. Reed being like, so Namor's gonna be here. I mean, I am the elongated man. Or no, I'm not. I'm Mr. Fantastic. The Fantastic Four in their Byrne initiated post negative zone costumes, where they came out and their costumes changed colored. Like, I felt like that was kind of a stroke of genius. The Zipatone is just amazing. I love like the outline, the cityscape in the background. Like, not only is he doing like the city and sort of that faded duo shade, but he's got like white lights and stuff everywhere. It's just gorgeous art. What can I tell you? And here comes the sludge, the oil spill, which is exactly the story Namor should be involved in. And here's John Byrne's laziness. Come on. This must have taken like 20 minutes. Anyway, it's effective. It's beautiful. It's negative space. It's gorgeous. Is that an 8-ball? Anyway, perfection. Namor 1 through 4. We'll bring you more soon. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, hit like, share my content, and I'll bring you more soon. Thanks, guys.